The hotel manager pointed toward the front doors and said, "Sir, you need to leave." The lobby became strangely quiet. A tired father stood beside two children, holding a small suitcase in one hand and his 7-year-old daughter's backpack in the other. His 5-year-old son was asleep against his shoulder. The man looked around at the expensive marble floor, the gold lights and the people staring at him. Then he quietly asked, "Are you sure?" The manager didn't hesitate. "Absolutely. You are disturbing our guests." What the manager didn't know was that the man standing in front of him was the new owner of the hotel. His name was Daniel Carter, but Daniel had never been interested in looking important. For the past 3 years, he had been raising his 2 children alone. His wife, Emily, had passed away after a long illness, leaving Daniel with a 7-year-old daughter named Lily and a 5-year-old son named Noah. Daniel had struggled to keep their lives normal. He cooked breakfast before school. He packed lunches. He helped Lily with homework while trying to keep Noah from drawing on the walls some mornings. He arrived at work with cereal stains on his shirt other mornings. He forgot where he had left his car keys because Noah had hidden them inside a toy truck. Daniel used to laugh about those things, but lately, life had become harder. Daniel had recently purchased a small group of family hotels. The business was successful, but he had decided not to announce himself immediately at the newest property. He wanted to see how the hotel treated ordinary guests, so on a rainy Friday evening, Daniel drove 6 hours with Lily and Noah to visit one of the hotels without telling the staff who he was. They were supposed to spend one quiet weekend there. Lily had been looking forward to swimming in the hotel pool. Noah wanted pancakes for breakfast, but when they arrived, the children were exhausted. Daniel walked into the hotel carrying their bags. "Dad," Lily whispered, "can we just go to our room?" "Of course," Daniel said. "We'll get some rest." At the front desk, Daniel gave his name. The receptionist checked the computer. "Carter." "Yes." She looked at the screen again. "There's no reservation under that name." Daniel frowned. "That's strange. I booked it 2 weeks ago." The receptionist sighed. "Maybe you booked the wrong hotel." Daniel showed her the confirmation email. She barely looked at it. "It says the reservation was cancelled." "I never cancelled it." "Well, the system says it was cancelled." Daniel looked at Lily. She was rubbing her eyes. Noah was beginning to cry. Daniel lowered his voice. "Could you please check if there is another room available? We've been driving all day." The receptionist looked toward the manager. The manager, Richard, walked over. He was a sharply dressed man in his 40s who looked annoyed before he even spoke. "What seems to be the problem?" the receptionist explained. Richard looked at Daniel from head to toe. His clothes were simple. His shoes were wet. His children looked tired. Richard said, "Sir, if you don't have a valid reservation, we can't check you in." "I understand," Daniel replied. "I'm only asking if you have a room available. We're almost full." "Then I'll pay the regular rate." Richard shook his head. "You don't understand. We don't have rooms." Daniel glanced toward the lobby. He noticed another guest arriving just minutes earlier. That guest was immediately given a room. Daniel didn't argue. He simply asked, "Is there a hotel nearby where you can recommend we stay?" Richard pointed toward the street. "There are cheaper hotels about 2 miles away." Lily looked up. "But Dad, you said we were staying here." Daniel knelt beside her. "I know, sweetheart. We'll figure it out." Before he could say anything else, Noah dropped his small toy car. It rolled across the polished lobby floor. A staff member picked it up and handed it back. But another employee whispered something too. Richard's expression changed. He walked toward Daniel. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Daniel stood slowly. "Why?" "We've had complaints about your children." Daniel looked at Lily and Noah. "They haven't done anything. They're tired. They're making noise. They're children." Richard lowered his voice. "This is a luxury hotel. We expect guests to behave appropriately." Daniel stared at him. For a moment, he felt anger rising inside him, but then he looked at his children. He remembered Emily telling him before she died, "Don't let anger decide who you become." Daniel took a breath. "All right." He picked up the bags. Lily looked confused. "Dad, are we leaving?" Daniel forced a smile. "Yes, we're going somewhere else." As they walked toward the doors, Daniel stopped. He turned around and looked directly at Richard. "Tomorrow morning, I want you to review everything that happened tonight." Richard gave a small laugh. "Tomorrow morning," Daniel nodded. Yet then he walked out into the rain. He didn't tell Richard who he was, not yet. The rain became heavier. Daniel carried Noah while Lily walked beside him, holding the handle of the suitcase. The nearest hotel was full. The second one was too expensive. The third had a broken heating system by 10:30 at night. Lily was crying quietly. "Daddy, I just want Mom." Daniel stopped walking. Those words hurt more than anything the hotel manager had said. He crouched down and hugged her. "Sweetheart, I don't want another hotel. No, I want to go home." Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. He wanted to tell her everything would be okay. But sometimes a father doesn't know if everything will be okay. He can only promise that he won't stop trying. "We'll find somewhere," he whispered. Eventually, Daniel found a small roadside motel. It wasn't beautiful. The room was tiny. The carpet was old, but it was warm. Daniel put Noah in bed and helped Lily change into dry clothes. Then he sat beside her. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what?" "For tonight." Lily shook her head. "You didn't do anything wrong." Daniel smiled sadly. "You're right." She looked at him. "Dad." "Yes." "Did those people think we were poor?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. He looked at his daughter. Then he said, "Sometimes people make decisions about us before they know us. Does that mean they're bad?" "Not always." "Then why do they do that?" Daniel thought about it. "Because they forgot something important." "What?" "That every person deserves respect." Lily became quiet. Then she asked, "Are we going back tomorrow?" Daniel looked toward the window. "Yes." "Why?" "Because running away won't solve what happened." The next morning, Daniel returned to the hotel. This time, he was alone. He walked into the lobby wearing the same simple clothes. Richard saw him immediately. His face tightened. "You again?" Daniel nodded. Double quotes. "Yes, I already told you last night. I remember." Richard stepped closer. "You're not welcome here." Daniel looked around. Several employees were watching. Then he said calmly, "I'd like to speak with the staff." Richard laughed. "You don't have any business here." Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. He opened an email. Then he turned the screen toward Richard. "Richard, read it." His smile disappeared. The email was from the hotel company's legal office. It stated that Daniel Carter had completed the purchase of the property that morning. Richard stared at the screen. No. Daniel said nothing. Richard looked again. Then he whispered, "You're the new owner?" "Yes." The lobby became silent. The receptionist looked down. Two employees exchanged nervous glances. Richard's face turned pale. "Mr. Carter, I didn't know." "That is exactly the problem," Daniel interrupted. Richard swallowed. Daniel didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten anyone. He simply said, "Last night, you treated me differently because you thought I was nobody." Richard tried to explain there was a misunderstanding. "No," Daniel said quietly. "There was a choice." Richard looked embarrassed. Daniel continued, "You saw a tired father with 2 children. You didn't see a customer. You didn't see a human being who needed help. You saw someone you believed was beneath this hotel." Richard's eyes dropped. Daniel, which could have fired him immediately. He could have humiliated him in front of everyone, but then he remembered Lily's question, "Are we going back tomorrow?" Daniel realized he had a choice. He could punish one man, or he could change the culture that allowed this to happen. Then something unexpected happened. The receptionist stepped forward. "Mr. Carter." Daniel looked at her and she was nervous. "I should have helped you last night." Daniel nodded. Double quotes. "Yes, you should have." "I was afraid of Mr. Richard." Richard looked at her. Daniel noticed the fear in her face. That told him there was a bigger problem, that the hotel wasn't simply suffering from one rude manager. It had a culture where employees were afraid to speak and guests were judged by appearance. Daniel looked around the lobby. He remembered Lily standing there the night before, exhausted and embarrassed. His chest tightened. He knew what he had to do, but before he could speak, his phone rang. It was Lily. "Dad." "Yes, sweetheart, can you come back? Noah has a fever." Daniel's heart dropped. He turned toward the doors. For the first time since entering the hotel, he stopped thinking like an owner. He was simply a father. "I'm coming," and he walked away. Daniel spent the next 2 days taking care of Noah. The fever eventually came down. Lily stayed close to her brother and helped Daniel whenever she could. On Sunday evening, Daniel sat at the small motel table with both children. Lily was coloring. Noah was eating soup. Daniel looked at them and smiled. "We're going home tomorrow." Lily smiled. "Really?" "Really?" She paused. "Dad." "Yes." "What happened at the hotel?" Daniel thought carefully. "I learned something. What? That being in charge doesn't mean you have to make people afraid of you." Lily nodded as if she understood. Daniel continued, "It means you have to make things better." The next morning, Daniel returned to the hotel. He called a meeting with every employee. Richard was there. The receptionist was there. Housekeepers, kitchen workers, security guards, and front desk staff all stood together. Daniel looked at them. "Could fire half of you today." Everyone became silent. "But I won't." Richard looked surprised. Daniel continued, "What? That happened to me can happen to anyone. A tired parent, an elderly guest, a person traveling alone, someone wearing cheap clothes, someone who doesn't look important." He paused. "If our staff only respects people they believe are powerful, then we have failed." Daniel announced new training. For every department, managers would no longer be allowed to threaten employees into silence. Guest complaints would be reviewed fairly. Staff members could report inappropriate behavior without fear of punishment. And most importantly, every guest would be treated with basic respect. Then Daniel turned to Richard. "You made a serious mistake." Richard nodded. "I know you judged my family before you knew us." "I'm sorry." Daniel looked at him for several seconds. "I believe you're sorry." Richard seemed relieved. "But you will no longer manage this hotel." Richard lowered his head. Daniel didn't fire him on the spot. Instead, he offered him a different position at another property, one that required less authority and more customer training. Richard accepted. Months passed. The hotel changed, not overnight, but slowly. Employees began helping one another. Guests were treated more warmly. Complaints were taken seriously, and Daniel started visiting the property regularly. But he never arrived with an expensive car or a group of assistants. Sometimes he came with Lily and Noah. One Saturday morning, they walked into the same lobby where they had once been kicked out. Lily looked around. Yes, can we stay here now? Daniel smiled. Would you like to? She nodded. A receptionist walked over. Welcome back, Mr. Carter. Then she looked at Lily and Noah. Would you two like to see the pool? Noah's eyes became wide. The pool? Yes. He grabbed his father's hand. Dad, the pool. Daniel laughed. Go ahead. Lily stayed beside him. She looked at the receptionist. Thank you. The receptionist smiled. You're welcome. Daniel watched his children run toward the elevator. For a moment, he imagined Emily standing beside him. He remembered how she used to say that success wasn't measured by how many people knew your name. It was measured by how people felt after meeting you. Daniel looked around the hotel. The same marble floor, the same lights, the same front desk. But it felt completely different. Because now the people inside understood something they had forgotten before. The person does not become valuable because of a title, a bank account, or expensive clothes. They are valuable simply because they are human. Daniel walked toward the elevator. Lily called from inside. Dad, hurry. He smiled. I'm coming. And for the first time in a long time, Daniel didn't feel like the owner of a hotel. He simply felt like a father who had made it through another difficult chapter.